Good afternoon. My name is Magen Payne, and today I will be presenting my Service Learning Project poster on increasing worksite breastfeeding support through the development of an online survey and an interactive map of breastfeeding resources in Tennessee. Breastfeeding has been shown by several studies to increase functionality of the immune system and has decreased risk of bacterial and viral infections. Breastfed babies have also been shown to have a decreased risk of developing allergies. It is believed that lactation rooms have the potential to increase breastfeeding duration by reducing barriers to worksite pumping by providing a safe, clean, and private space for mothers to comfortably pump. For my service learning project, I was interested in seeing what our campus and also our region was doing to increase the ability for mothers to breastfeed in their work and school environment. My target audience was the Knox County Health Department, as well as the Breastfeeding Research Collective, which is a group of faculty, administration, and members of the I Can Thrive Lab that are involved to some capacity with the campus lactation rooms. For this project, I created 4 objectives: 2 student learning objectives that I will complete, as well as 2 target audience learning objectives. My first student learning objective was to, by October 15th, increase my understanding of survey development and the Qualtrics survey platform by creating a needs assessment survey for deployment to the Breastfeeding Research Collective, as well as journal entry reflections of this process. My second student learning objective is to, by November 11th, have increased my understanding of how to develop an online interactive map, as evidenced by the creation of a map of East Tennessee Wellness Gold Standard businesses from the Knox County Health Department. For my first target audience learning objective, by the 3rd week of November, at least 50% of Breastfeeding Research Collective's members receiving the final report of the needs assessment survey will report agreement with the prioritization of findings, as evidenced by a report of responses to a brief follow-up questionnaire. My second learning objective was to, by November 29th, have at least 50% of my preceptors that are receiving map development training from myself to report that they are confident in their ability to update the map in the future, as measured by a post-assessment. For the purposes of keeping this presentation within the acceptable time limit, I will be focusing on the second student learning objective and my second target audience learning objective. As you may have noticed, my project has 2 separate components, one of which is focused on our campus and the other which focuses on the region of East Tennessee. On our campus, myself and Dr. Kavanaugh, who is my preceptor for this portion of the project, have created a breastfeeding research collective of lactation room overseers and faculty and administration that are involved in other facets. My project was to learn how to create a Qualtrics survey that included skip and display logic along with multiple types of answers. The purpose of this was to see what the needs of the users were and if overseers had been consulted about any problems or concerns about the room. We also surveyed to see what the perceived usage of each room was. At the health department, I worked with preceptors Chelsea Johnson and Cheryl Hill to create an interactive map of businesses identified to be East Tennessee Wellness Roundtable Gold Standard. This map includes information for each business, such as business name, location, and different breastfeeding resources. Healthy People 2020 guidelines for breastfeeding are targeted at 81.9% for infants born to have been breastfed at least once, 60.6% at 6 months, and 34.1% at 12 months. As you can see, the United States as a whole has exceeded the expectation, with 83.2% of infants being breastfed at least once, and also exceeds the objective for infants breastfed at 12 months, but it falls short for infants being breastfed at 6 months. Tennessee, on the other hand, is not achieving 2 out of 3 objectives. In Tennessee, only 75.7% of infants have been breastfed at least once, and slightly less than 50% continue to breastfeed until 6 months. We have met the Healthy People 2020 objective of infants breastfed at 12 months, but just barely. Clearly, there's a greater need in Tennessee for intervention to raise our percentages. This figure serves to highlight potential reasons why women are not breastfeeding longer. In a study done named Breast Milk Pumping Beliefs, Supports, and Barriers on a Campus, the barriers that have been identified that keep working mothers from being able to pump are space to pump, scheduling/time constraints, lack of workplace support, milk storage concerns, carrying pump equipment, and no identified barriers. The main barrier at 36% is space to pump. The purpose behind my service learning project was to alleviate this barrier and to see how to increase breastfeeding rates in Tennessee. My student learning objective was met and exceeded as evidenced by my creation of an interactive map through Google My Maps, which is shown in the upper right-hand corner. My original plan was to create just one interactive map for the breastfeeding resources. However, I ended up making 8 maps, which was an unexpected learning opportunity that I will discuss later. As you can see from the map, as you hover over each colored pin, a pop-up will appear on the screen and the name of a business will be displayed, as well as the type of resources that each business already has or was requested from the health department. Each pin can be customized by color or symbol, and the pop-up can be edited as well. For my target audience learning objective, this was also met through the development of a mapping tutorial that was delivered to Chelsea Johnson that reported feeling extremely comfortable with being able to create her own map after receiving the mapping tutorial through a post-tutorial questionnaire. There were many unexpected benefits for this portion of the project, such as getting to use the data for multiple different types of resources. The Excel data sets for the East Tennessee Wellness Roundtable Gold Standard that I used to make the breastfeeding resource map also had several other types of resources that I was tasked to create a map for, such as physical activity resources, chronic disease prevention resources, substance abuse education resources, mental wellness resources, nutrition resources, and policy and guidance resources. Through the health department taking me on as an intern for the service learning project, I was also able to attend a health fair at Sam E. Hill Elementary School, as well as a breastfeeding seminar at UT Medical Center. Although there were many benefits, there were also some unexpected barriers. It was my goal that Knox County Health Department would be able to use this map for their website, as well as East Tennessee Wellness Roundtable website. However, they are unable to use this as a public domain for information. Also, another very unexpected barrier was at the beginning of the project, I got a concussion which left me with a horrible headache, especially when looking at a computer screen and inability to concentrate. Also, I was having difficulty reading and my vision was very blurry. I told this to my preceptor and she was gracious enough to let me stay home for a day to work. However, I did not relay the true severity of this concussion because I didn't want to step back from the project to let my brain rest, so I pushed myself for the next 2 weeks to finish the project, which backfired because I made a few mistakes on the Excel sheet. This was very frustrating and embarrassing as I had turned it in as the final project, only to have to explain my mistake. Clearly, this was a learning opportunity for what my limitations are and to take my health seriously. Also, another unexpected barrier was that Google My Maps had some limitations, including the amount of layers per map that are allowed, and the methods for editing posed some issues as well. By completing this service learning project, I gained survey development skills and learned the importance of survey validation to ensure that the survey is measuring what I intended it to measure. I was also able to increase my exposure of the health department and learn more about its role in public health, such as how resources are allocated and the importance of this when trying to boost the health of the region. I also gained experience of creating an interactive map and what the best way to portray information that is both user-friendly and easy to understand. Unexpectedly, I learned about my own limitations and that I need to step back if I am unable to do work because pushing through pain may affect the quality of my product. I was also able to gain greater understanding about the needs and concerns of lactation room overseers through the Needs Assessment Survey, which will further lead to interventions that will both benefit users and overseers. Through the development of this interactive map, I was able to see where resources are located in the region, with the hope that later on in research, the map could be used to see where resources are allocated and if this has benefited health outcomes. I would also like to thank my preceptors Chelsea Johnson and Cheryl Hill at Knox County Health Department for the opportunity and their guidance, as well as Dr. Katie Kavanaugh for her wellspring of knowledge and support with this project. These are my references, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.